Now, police have taken the step of banning the environmental campaign group Extinction Rebellion from using boats, vehicles or other structures during their summer protest in London. Two teenagers, a girl aged 14 and a 17-year-old boy, were arrested today in Parliament Square on suspicion of obstructing a highway. It's barely begun, but already it feels like a long, hot summer of discontent in the capital, with Extinction Rebellion obstructing roads and bridges. The aim is to disrupt as much as possible, to highlight what they say is the existential threat posed by climate change. Earlier this week, the trademark boat blocks reached Leeds, Cardiff and other cities around the UK. In the capital, the previously patient police have snapped. This morning, they announced they're banning the boats and warned they'll take a tougher line on any climate protesters who cause significant disruption. A stone's throw from Scotland Yard, protesters put the police to the test.
Get on the pavement! Get on the pavement!
Lines of officers struggled to keep the traffic moving. Two activists, a 14-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy, were arrested on suspicion of obstruction of a highway. They joined more than 1,150 others arrested over April's mass protests. Many of those demonstrating may consider alienating the police part of the job description. But will they now have to change tactics to keep the public on side? Well, I'm joined now by Clarissa Carlyon from Extinction Rebellion and Andre Spicer, Professor of Organisational Behaviour at Cass Business School. Clarissa Carlyon first. I mean, police are taking this much tougher line now. Are you now considered an extreme anarchist group, as the ex-counter-terrorism guy Richard Walton says? Is that a badge of pride, perhaps?
I think it's quite a laughable description, really. It's quite ridiculous. I mean, the only extremism I've seen within the movement has been extreme love. The whole basis of the movement is the love that we feel for the planet and that we need to survive. And extreme non-violence. We had over 1,000 arrests back during April. Not one police officer reported any violence during that. So, you know, if that's extremism, then there we go.
Why do you think they've lost patience with you then, the police?
I'm not sure that they have.
Well, it's a tougher line now, isn't it?
Well, you mentioned the boat today, and yes, you know, we weren't able to take it into Parliament Square as had been previously agreed. But what I think is amazing is that we dropped 5 boats across the whole country, and it really shows that there's a groundswell of support across the country, and that everyone in the UK is really concerned about this extreme emergency situation that we're in.
Andre Spicer, is that true that there's a groundswell of support, or are some of the public losing patience, as perhaps the police are?
Well, the Extinction Rebellion has achieved a lot. It's got this to the top of the policy agenda in a very difficult situation. However, if it's not going to sort of sink as a movement, it needs to change up its tactics. This is what we call a competency trap, where you're really good at doing something, putting boats in squares, putting up, you know, little cities and so, you know, tents and so on. But that can trap you in not broadening your tactics in a way which can reach out to a wider range of people.
Well, because it's annoying too many people, you mean?
It's a small annoyance, but I think there's a danger that people will think, OK, I don't necessarily want to be a rebel, but I do believe in the cause. So I don't want to go to the chai tent, but I want to somehow contribute to fighting climate change.
Have you got to change your tactics, broaden your support?
Well, I think we were already doing a very broad range of tactics, and the way that we're engaging people shows that, you know, again, we've got a huge variety of people that are joining the movement.
Well, have you, though? Because, I mean, some people have said it's a very sort of white middle-class movement because people like, you know, the actress Emma Thompson are the only ones who can really afford to stomach the cost of tackling climate change.
Well, I'm not quite sure what you mean.
Well, it's just that some people have said that it is quite a narrow sector of people who are backing this because actually it will cost a lot to tackle climate change.
I don't agree that it's backed by a narrow section of people. We've had grandmothers being arrested, we've had young people joining us, we've had people from all political backgrounds supporting what we're doing, and it's not really a dividing thing, it's something that affects absolutely everybody.
Sounds like quite a broad support, grandmothers taking part?
I mean, you're right that there is a broad support for the issue, but then the question is, do people want to take part in the movement itself? And yeah, you get a grandmother coming along, you get children. I saw kids today with Extinction Rebellion stickers on their bikes, 6-year-old kids, cool. But then the question is, if you really want to make a change, if we really want to save this planet, we need to broaden out, not just kind of demographically, getting a whole wide group on board, but ideologically as well. So many of the messages from Extinction Rebellion appeal to, people like, you might find in East London around who have kind of leftist values, cool.
Not just East London, though,
across the country, but leftist values. But we need to appeal to both the centre and, guess what, the right as well. So one of the basic messages of conservatism. So if we think about...
What would you suggest? I mean, you're saying a lot of what you think we're doing wrong.
No, I'm saying you're doing something right, but broaden. So I think, if we look at conservatism, what's the basic root of conservation? Conserving, right? And I think there's probably...
How do you appeal to them then? What's your suggestion?
Well, I
think the semantics is a little bit of a distraction from the real issue, which is that we have a really, really short amount of time to do something about this.
Absolutely.
And we were out there all this week demanding that the government acts now.
Yeah.
Absolutely now.
So how do you appeal to
not
Conservatives?
about left or right or anything like that.
And that's fantastic. Act now, but you need to kind of... Either Extinction Rebellion or someone else needs to broaden the coalition.
But how? Give us an example of how you appeal to
An example is
Conservatives.
that, for instance, if you think about kind of many kind of home counties' conservative values, it's about nature and these kind of things. Appeal to that. Someone like David Attenborough's made big inroads in that, and do something which isn't just kind of protest. Protest is important. It's good, but the range of tactics need to be far more broad.
Clarissa Carline, Andre Spicer, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Krish.